The Magic Cloth. There once lived a rich merchant, bad-tempered and mean, with never a kind word for anyone. Unfortunately, his wife was no belter. Perhaps if they had been blessed with children, they would have had a more friendly attitude. Naturally, they had no friends, and no one would ever dream of asking them a favor. If ever a needy person came begging at their door, the wife would shout at the poor beggar in no uncertain terms, and if he didn't go away fast enough, she would pick up a stick and chase him out of the compound. There was one poor girl named Vanita who had to bear the brunt of their bad tempers from morning till night. She was their only servant whom they had obtained from an orphanage, which saved money. Vanita had to do all the work in the house, cleaning, cooking, washing, and if ever in her tiredness she sat down to rest her weary body, they would scold her and call her rather horrible names. At night, poor Vanita would crawl into bed and could not control the tears as she pondered on the hopelessness of her life. Oh, if only I was beautiful, or even just attractive, she would sadly dream then some young man might take pity and marry me. But this was just a dream, because unfortunately she was plain as plain could be. Then one day, when the master and mistress happened to be out, and Vanita was busy cooking the dinner, she heard a feeble voice calling to her from the kitchen door. When she opened the door, there stood a very old man, dressed in rags and partially blind. "Good woman," he whimpered, "I am dying of hunger. Please spare me something to eat." How Vanita longed to help the beggar, but she dare not give him any food from the house, for that would bring down the wrath of her employers if they found out. Then she remembered that she did have some food that belonged to her, and this was about a pound of unhusked rice, which she had painstakingly collected over the months, out of the straw she used for lighting the fire. Asking the beggar to sit down, Vanita quickly cleaned her store of rice and cooked it on the fire. When she put the bowl of rice in front of the beggar, his face lit up with a grateful smile. Fumbling in his pocket, he brought out a piece of cloth and offered it to Vanita. "Whenever you wash, dry yourself with this cloth and fortune will come your way," he said kindly. As luck would have it, before the old beggar had finished eating, footsteps approached the kitchen. "What is this dirty beggar doing in the house?" screamed the woman. "And eating our food. It is not your food," pluckily replied Vanita. "Do not lie to me," shouted the woman, and made a grab at the bowl the old beggar was eating from. The merchant's wife's anger filled the smoky kitchen as Vanita trembled in fear. Before their very eyes, the old man and the bowl disappeared. The master and mistress were angrier than ever to think an old beggar could vanish without trace. Before Vanita could explain anything, they shouted and beat her, sending her to bed without food. From that day onwards, whenever Vanita washed, she dried herself with the cloth the beggar had given her. Day by day, her features gradually changed to radiant beauty. The transformation was gentle but unmistakable, as kindness replaced fear and sadness in her face. Such a transformation did not escape the notice of her employers, and their curiosity was aroused when Vanita refused to answer their many questions. In the end, they lost their tempers and beat the poor girl until she was forced to tell them about the beggar and the magic cloth. The merchant and his wife made Vanita give them the cloth, and like conspirators, they sat up half through the night building castles in the air. They planned their fortune. First, they would use the cloth until they were both young and beautiful. Then they would hire it out at fantastic prices and make a great fortune. Before dawn, they bathed and rubbed each other with the cloth, waiting to see their beauty in the mirror. But to their horror, they saw that they had been changed into monkeys. Now, sadder but wiser, they realized no one would ever believe their story. The only thing to do was to leave the house and their possessions to Vanita and steal away into the nearby hills to live like hermits. Not long afterwards, the now beautiful Vanita married. In her new and happy life, she always looked after the poor and needy. She never forgot the old beggar who had taught her, and her old employers, that in giving, one finds happiness, and that unkindness to others never pays. Moral: in giving, one finds happiness. Unkindness to others never pays.